Glenn, and I'm from Creative Niche. For those who don't know us, we're a staffing, recruitment, and executive search firm that specializes in advertising, design, digital, mobile, marketing, and web development placements. So you can see our open jobs, and we usually have some web development jobs up on our board, and register online at creativeniche.com/jobs. And I'm here just to offer up some quick tips for transitioning to a permanent role if you've been freelancing for an extended period of time. So step one is to determine your salary. So one way to do that is to take your hourly salary, prorate it to a year, which can be between 1,800 and 2,000 hours, depending on your expected work week, and then come up with a number. But oftentimes that's not going to tell the whole story, so you may not want to go with that number. You want to take into account the security and amenities of a full-time role, and that might come with a possible overall dip in compensation, especially if you were billing out, say, 70 hours a week prior to going full-time. It's important to research market rates for your role and be sure to leverage your unique experience and skills with the client's needs and salary expectations. So point two, value adds. You want to consider the value adds of a permanent role that you don't get with a freelance role. So this can include things like benefits, RRSP matching, education funds, and possibly others. So the largest in terms of perceived and actual value is usually your health benefits. And these generally come in the form of a traditional insured plan or a spending account with set contributions. And benefits aren't subject to source deductions, so oftentimes this can be as valuable or more valuable than the equivalent in salary. So it's important to take that into account when you're looking at possibly competing offers. RSP matching is not always a given, but certainly a nice perk. And oftentimes it's worthwhile to ask about an education fund. It's not a need to have, but it's certainly a nice to have if the potential employer does provide that. So be sure to factor all of these into your overall compensation package whenever you're considering a role. Another thing to take into account is the notification period. So when you're leaving your current freelance role, your contract role, it's often a question of how much notice you should give. So the Employment Standards Act of Ontario doesn't address this issue directly, although it's wise to give the same amount of notice when leaving a role that an employer is required to give to someone being let go. For example, that works out to 1 week notice between 3 months and a year, 2 weeks notice between 1 and 3 years, and an additional week's notice for each year of employment beyond that. The Toronto tech and creative community is close-knit, as we can see here tonight, so it's usually wise to maintain positive relationships and avoid burning bridges. And by doing that, you can ensure you're not burning any bridges on your way out. Another thing to take into account, vacation periods. So employees are actually only eligible for 2 weeks vacation 12 months from their hire date as per the labor laws. But of course, market trends are usually going to run upwards of that. Sometimes you'll see 2 weeks for juniors or if you're fairly fresh out of school. But more accurately, you're probably going to see 3 or 4 weeks for intermediate and senior roles. And then tenure, of course, can often bring increased vacation time, often at or around the 4-year mark. So it's certainly wise to ask what your vacation allotment would look like in 5 years' time when you're considering a full-time role. Lastly, moonlighting. You may want to continue to do additional work outside of your new day job, and if so, there's certainly some points to consider. There may be a condition that stipulates no freelancing to be done outside your role with your employer's direct client base or competition. That's quite common, so you want to avoid conflicts of interest. Employers are generally concerned about the possible diminished quality of your primary responsibilities. So you're obviously going to have to set their mind at ease if that's going to be something you want to negotiate. And if you're looking to spend time outside your primary role offering similar services, you just want to be clear about what the rules and conditions are surrounding that if you're going to accept an employment offer. So those are the 5 tips. I'll be around to talk if anyone wants to afterwards, and good luck. Thank you.